Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Bond court is now in session.
Okay, Mr. DeLeon, please hand in the headsets. Is it a PD? Do you know?
Sí,
Mr. Are you Michael DeLeon?
sí,
You're here in case number 2022 CF387080. You had a court date on June 15th, but you missed it for drug charges. So you're being held at $2,500 bond. You have an older case for possession of cocaine. You missed your court date on June 17th for that as well, so you're being held at no bond on that.
Report on both those cases, ma'am.
Thank you.
como que me quedo
Your
preso.
attorney does not speak Spanish. One will check in with you from the trial division.
Ok, pero la fianza mía, puedo fiarme con 2.500, en 250 la fianza.
Okay, but then regarding the bond, will I be able to bond out for $250 since the bond is $2,500?
You have two cases. One is no bond. You cannot bond out. And the other is $250. So I would hesitate on doing that until you speak with your attorney so you can get credit.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Mason.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Appearance in case number 2022 CF 356280. That's on his failure to appear. Do you want to be heard on that?
Your Honor, I know the judge entered that the bond can't be modified, so at this point in time, Your Honor, I understand the court stayed the bond, took no other action, and defense has no other statements at this time.
He does have an out on bond. Let me take a look at that. I don't know if you're going to want me
The
to.
out on bond yesterday, we actually had a hearing before that judge. He's been reset for a trial is reset. They've not revoked the bond or done anything in that case.
Okay, so I'll continue to take no action then?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mason. Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Thank you very much for recalling us,
Not a problem.
Your Honor.
Court is adjourned. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Tyler Brands on behalf of the public defender.
Thank you both.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Rafael Barrera, State Certified Court Interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
All right, if you could go ahead and sound check the defendant.
Certainly, Your Honor.
Sí.
Correction. There's a
Your
federal.
Honor, the interpreter can confirm this defendant is able
Have a
to hear
federal
through the
hold.
headsets.
Sir, is your name David DeLeon Colon?
Sí.
Yes?
You need a public defender to help you with your new criminal charges. That's a lawyer.
Sí.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. Probable cause has been found for trafficking in fentanyl greater than 4 grams, as well as possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver. I'll stay the bonds. Your total bond is $105,000 with a condition you commit no new law violations. I also want to advise you that there may be a hold on you. But you can confer with your attorney about any other cases that you may have open. That concludes your case. Thank you.
Your Honor, the interpreter could respectfully request the case number for this last defendant.
Sure, I apologize. 22 CF 7317AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll disconnect from the interpreter. All right, Walter Allen. State, did you file on Mr. Allen's 2 other cases?
I see 3 other cases, Your Honor, and yes, all of them were filed on. They have pretrial July 13th.
All right. In case number 2022 MM4363, I find probable cause for battery. I'll appoint the services of the public defender. I'll stay the bond in that matter. Thank you. And in all of his out on bond cases, I'm going to revoke his release and hold him at no bond.
Your Honor, we'll also waive the appearance today.
Thank you.
Your Honor, as it's a battery, can I ask for no contact?
Sure. I'll order no contact. After that, I have Tabitha Bithot. Good morning, ma'am. You're here for possession of drug paraphernalia and trespass on property after warning. Do you need an attorney? It's a time-served offer. Would you like to accept that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
No.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No.
All right, if at any point you change your mind, let me know. What's the highest grade that you finished in school?
11.
Have you consumed any drugs, alcohol, or medicine that's affecting your ability to understand
No,
what's
ma'am.
going on right now? If you agree to the terms on the paper, please sign it. That's the plea form. How do you plead to count 1, possession of drug paraphernalia? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
How do you plead to count 2, trespass on property after warning?
Guilty.
And did anybody force you to say guilty?
No.
Do you understand that we will not have a trial based on your plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you were on probation at the time you committed this offense, by pleading today, your terms of probation would be violated?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept your pleas of no contest, finding you've waived your right to counsel. I'll sentence you to time served. You'll be released on these charges today. You will be convicted. You owe court costs within 1 year. You're to have no return to the scene of the crime and abide by all trespass orders. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Raheem Evans. State, do you want me to make an offer on this case?
Maybe appearing naked.
I did not make an offer, Your Honor. But I would note that he was just convicted, let's say 3 weeks ago of trespassing,
Okay. And he has a prayer.
and
Sir-
he has an open case.
Oh, he did, in Lake County. Sir, you're here for a charge of indecent exposure of sexual organs. Based on your criminal history and the facts of this case, if you would like to resolve this case today, it would be a 7-day jail offer with credit for 2 days' time served. So you'd have to do 5 more days. Do you need a lawyer from the public defender's office to help you? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. How do you plead to the charge of exposure of sexual organs? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay, I'll accept your plea of not guilty. I do have concerns about your ability to understand what's going on, so I will appoint a public defender. Enter plea of not guilty.
And what's the bond amount, Your Honor?
Stayed at 500.
Thank you.
The next person I'm addressing is Felipe Francelon.
Your Honor, he's medical.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender.
There was an offer conveyed to this, to defense in this case, Your Honor. Would you be inclined to reset it till Tuesday?
I'll deny that request.
And we would waive his appearance.
Go ahead and set it for plea if you need to. Thank you. David Graham is next. Stay the bond, thank you. Actually, will he qualify for PTR? His last FTA was so long ago.
Could you do, no, Your Honor, he had a big
Okay, got it.
mental health history.
Are you Mr. David Graham? Mr. David Graham, you're here for a charge of trespass on property. It occurred at Wawa. If you would like to resolve this case today, the offer is an adjudication, 3 days, you have credit for 2. Do you need a lawyer to help you with your charges? How do you plead to the charge of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty? Guilty means you did it. No contest means you just want to resolve the case because you believe it's in your best interest, but you're not making an admission, or not guilty. And did anybody force you to say no contest? Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now? Do you understand that if you were on probation and when you committed this offense by pleading today, your probation would be violated? And if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea. Do you understand that as well? All right, I'll accept your plea of no contest, no return to the scene of the crime, 3 days in the county jail with credit for 2 days' time served. That concludes your case. You'll be released the next day or so. Timothy Hitchcock. Good morning. Are you Mr. Hitchcock?
Morning.
You were arrested for a charge of trespass, which was alleged to have occurred at Walgreens. If you would like to resolve your case today, the offer is an adjudication, 3 days with credit for 2. Mr. Hitchcock, yes.
Mr. Hitchcock has at least 8 trespasses at this location. He has previously done 15 days just in May. So the offer from the state was 20 days. He continuously goes back to this location.
Right. The state has given me information that I did not have already, that it was the same place. I have to follow their recommendation. So it's a 20-day offer with credit for 2. Do you need a lawyer to help you with your case?
No, I got a public defender already, I think.
Okay, do you want a public defender to help you?
No, I just want to plead no contest.
Okay. If at any point you change your mind and you need a public defender to answer any questions, let me know.
Okay.
Are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now?
No.
How do you plead to the crime of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
And do you understand what no contest means?
Yes.
Did anybody force you to say no contest?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes.
And if you were on probation when you committed this crime by pleading today, your probation would be violated.
Yes.
In front of you, there should be a plea form. If you agree to the terms, please sign it. State, thank you for that information.
Welcome, Your Honor.
Sir, at this time, I'll go ahead and accept your plea of no contest. You're adjudicated guilty, sentenced to 20 days with credit for 2 days' time served. I am court ordering you to abide by all trespass orders and not to return to the scene of the crime. Do you have any questions?
No.
Pay your court costs within 1 year. Thank you.
Okay.
Next person is Frank Johnson. Your Honor, he bonded. All right, thank you. Mark King is next. Are you Mr. King?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. King, you were arrested for a new charge of petty theft. I do find probable cause. Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. I'll stay that bond at $250. You're not to return to the scene of the crime. But sir, you just bonded, or you were just released from jail a couple weeks ago in case 2022 CF 57598O for possession of drugs as well as possession of alprazolam. I'm sorry, possession of drug paraphernalia and alprazolam. Because of that, because of your new arrest, I'm going to revoke your ROR status, but I will give you a bond. Your bond is going to be $2,000 on the alprazolam and $200 on the paraphernalia for a bond total of $2,200. After that, I have Luigi Rivera.
He bonded, Your Honor.
Are you sure? I talked to him.
Are you Mr. Slaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Slaughter, you are here in case number 2022 MM371AO. You are arrested for a charge of petty theft. I do find probable cause. In that case, I'm going to stay the bond at $500. But you're already out on bond. You were just released on the 22nd in case 2022 MM 316AW. So I'm going to revoke your bond, but I will give you a new bond. On the petty theft charge, I'm going to set your bond at $1,500. On the trespass charge, I'm setting your bond at $200. So between all these charges, your total bond is $2,200. No return to the scene of any crimes, and I'll appoint a public defender. Thank you, Mr. Slaughter.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Scott Thompson is next. Good morning. Are you Mr. Thompson?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
State, do you have a recommendation?
With regard to 22 MM 4367, possession of drug paraphernalia, state announces a no information. With regard to 22 MM 4366, the trespass on property, it is a withhold, well, the offer is a withhold of adjudication, credit time served, and no return to the racetrack.
Sir, if you would like to resolve the trespass charge today, it's a withhold time served. You'd owe court costs in 1 year, and the state is announcing they're not going to prosecute you on the drug paraphernalia, so I would release you ROR. Do you want to accept that offer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you need a lawyer from the public defender's office to assist you? You'll need to answer out loud. You do want a lawyer to help you?
Yes, ma'am.
Speak with him as a friend of the court before appointment.
Oh, as a friend of the court? Okay, thank you.
As a friend of the court, Your Honor, I just informed him that we did speak about the plea form and the terms of those plea forms. He did review it. I don't believe he needs a appointment of the public defender. It saves him a few bucks.
Sir, how do you plead to the charge of trespass? Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
And did anybody force you to say no contest?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not, thank you, a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I see that you signed this plea form. Did you read it before you signed it?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you were on probation at the time you committed this offense, Mr. Thompson, by entering a plea today, you understand your terms of, you would be subject to deportation?
Yes, Your Honor. I understand.
All right, and you're entering a plea of no contest. Is that correct to the charge of trespass?
No contest. Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody forced you to say no contest. Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
And have you taken any drugs, alcohol, or medicine that's affecting your ability to understand what's going on right now?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I'll withhold adjudication, sentence you to time served, no return to the scene of the crime. I'll release you ROR on the possession of drug paraphernalia based on the state's announcement. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oliver Clayton is next. Sir, you're here for a charge of panhandling. If you would like to resolve this case, it's a time-served offer with a withhold. Would you like to accept that plea offer?
Yes, I'd like to accept the plea.
Do you need to speak with a lawyer from the public defender's office?
No.
Mr. Clayton, how do you plead his solicitation without a permit, guilty, no contest, or not
contest.
guilty? They gave you a plea form. Did you read it?
Yes, ma'am.
And I see, thank you, that there's a signature on it. Did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you agree to the terms?
Yes, ma'am.
So you entered a plea of no contest. Do you understand you will not have a trial?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that if you're not a United States citizen, you will be subject to deportation by entering a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
If you were on probation at the time you committed this crime, by entering a plea today, your terms of probation would be violated. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and withhold adjudication, sentence you to time served. You'll be released on this case, and you have 1 year to pay your court costs. Do you have any questions, Mr. Clayton?
No,
I
Your
mean,
Honor.
Mr. Oliver? Thank you. Donald Clavette. Sir, you have a June 11th arrest for driving under the influence with property damage and refusal to submit to blood alcohol testing. Your bondsman is coming off the bond, so I'm revoking your release, but I will give you a new bond. Each bond will be, I'll set each bond at $500. Then in case number 2021 CF 527AO, you have a violation of probation where you'll remain at no bond for the underlying charges of battering a law enforcement officer or
Yeah.
emergency worker.
Your Honor, I'm so sorry, he wasn't here on the VOP. He was already seen for that.
Okay. So again, I'm just gonna come off his bonds, but I'll give him a new bond. Do you already have a public defender for your DUI?
No, ma'am, I have a lawyer, but I was hoping to get a bond on the VOP so I could,
I'll deny that request at this time. Thank you. Talk to your attorney. I set it at 500. Give him a new bond. Okay, thank you, sir. Contact your attorney for legal advice. Messina Gay? Sir, do you already have a lawyer that's helping you with your charge for driving with license suspended with knowledge?
Ma'am, I have no lawyer.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I do not have no lawyer.
Your Honor, if I may, we would request appointment on this case. I spoke with Mr. Gay as a friend of the court, and I think he has some good faith arguments about the failure to appear charge. So I'll just have you appoint us so you can speak with an attorney before resolving it.
Do you want a public defender to help you with your criminal charge? Mr. Gay, do you want a lawyer to help you?
No, ma'am, because I like to understand, because I have a ticket. The officer write the ticket, I cannot read it. When I read the ticket, I find out I missed my court date. My court date was on Tuesday, so I find out on Wednesday, I have missed my court date. So I went to court. So when I went to the court, I sat there I went to court yesterday about, 3 o'clock. I get there about 3:30. When I get there, I sat there for about like
Okay.
40 minutes.
So we've talked to you a little bit about your case, and you told me you missed your court date.
Yes, ma'am.
You showed up a day late.
Yes,
All right, so you missed your court date, that was scheduled.
yes.
Okay, let me go ahead and take a look at this. He has one prior. If you want to speak with him as in front of the court, he said he did not want a lawyer. He has one prior. If he would like to resolve this case, I'll withhold credit time, serve him, and close it out.
And then this say I have a warrant for the ticket I don't pay.
Clarify that prior conviction, was it a driving while license suspended?
Yes, and he's suspended because he's never satisfied his DUI conditions from a long time ago.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, counsel, does he want you appointed, or can we conclude? Do you want an attorney to help you with your case? Mr. Gay, would you like a lawyer to help you with your case? Yes or no?
I love to, man, because I need my license, man, because I'm a construction worker. How could I survive?
So do you want a lawyer, yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll appoint them. Defense counsel, how does he plead to the charge of driving with license suspended?
Not guilty, Your Honor. We
Plead
just have
not
you-
guilty, $500 bond will be stayed. All right, the next person I'm addressing is, did Livingston bond?
Yes, Your Honor, he bonded.
Okay. Billy Noel is next. Am I seeing him on the resisting too, or just the no valid? Yes, both. Yes. Sir, do you need a public defender? Do you feel you can't afford an attorney, so I should appoint one? A public defender?
You can give me one today.
Do you work?
Yes, I
How
call
often do they pay you?
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks? Okay. And you
On
earn
Wednesday.
$800 every 2 weeks? You'll need to answer out loud.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, based on that, you do qualify for the services of the Public Defender Defense Counsel. I will give him a time-served offer and take no action on the carry concealed.
Yes, Your Honor, after speaking with Mr. Noel, though, as a friend of the court and now as a defense attorney, I believe he has some good faith defenses to the current charges, so I would just have you stay the bonds and then take no action on the
What's this?
out on bond case because the new charges aren't similar or violent in nature to the out on bond case, so I would just have you take no action.
Well, he's on PTR. He's not supposed to commit any new allegations. What says the state on the out on bond?
Your Honor, we have filed formal charges. There's a case management conference set for July 7th. So based on that, although he has next to no history, I would ask for you to revoke and double.
All right, in case number 2022, CF 3796, you're already on pretrial release for carrying a concealed firearm. I am going to revoke your release, and I will give you a new bond in that case of $5,000. On the no valid driver's license, I find probable cause for that in the resisting. I'll modify your no valid driver's license bond to $100 and stay the bond on the resisting.
Is that $500, Your Honor?
Yes, stay. After that, I have Michelle D. Bellamy.
Your Honor, she refused.
Miss Bellamy has a state she's in your diversion program. How do you want me to proceed on the out on bond in 2021 MM 2268?
Your Honor, you can take, excuse me, you can take no action.
I'll take no action on the prostitution, appoint a public defender on the new felony charges, find probable cause. I'll stay the bond on the fentanyl at $1,000, modify the bond to drug paraphernalia to $100 for a new bond total of $1,100. You'll waiver appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
After that, I have LaToya Brothers. Good morning, are you Miss Brothers?
Yes.
Miss Brothers, you're here for a charge of possession of MDMA. I find probable cause. Your bond came in at $15,000. Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. State, I see the total this total charge is .52. Do you know why it came in at 15,000?
No, ma'am. And I didn't
Hold
have
on, I'm
that.
talking to the state.
I do not, Your Honor.
Any objection to me reducing it to 100? 1,000?
To 1,000, no objection.
All right. I'll reduce your bond to $1,000, Ms. Brothers. You can talk to your public defender. After that, I have Danelle Brown. Good morning, Good afternoon, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
You were arrested in case 22 CF 7593 for a charge of possession of methamphetamines. Do you need a lawyer from the public defender's office to help you?
I do.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. I'll stay the bond at $1,000. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
David Angel Cordero is next.
Ma'am.
Sir, you're here for a new charge in case number 2022 CF 6279 for failure to comply and report as a sexual offender. You're currently set at no bond, but you are entitled to a bond on that case. I'm going to set your bond at $2,500 and order that you comply with all reporting requirements. But at this time, you're already out on bond in case 2021 CF 155 3680, and you have a public defender and a trial upcoming in a month. No, I'm sorry, in September, on September 7th. So in that case, I'm going to revoke your release and set you at no bond. Thank you, sir. Stay in touch with your attorney.
We appointed in the current case as well, Your Honor?
Yes, he was already appointed on the prior.
Thank you.
Michael DeLeon is next.
Your Honor, he
Yes.
is present, but he just told me he wants Spanish.
Pass him. I'll go ahead and keep going and then recall him.
Diaz Lopez?
Does he, okay, Diaz Lopez?
Your Honor, the Spanish interpreter, I think, does have someone during lunch hour, if that was your concern.
Well, I just want to get through the document.
Understood, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
What's your name, sir? I'm sorry, what is it?
Yes, Lopez, ma'am.
Mr. Diaz Lopez, you are here for a new charge of burglary of a conveyance, petty theft, and resisting officer without violence. You also have an ongoing charge for resisting officer with violence. Sir, do you need a lawyer from the public defender's office to help
Yes,
you with
ma'am.
your charges? Okay, I'll appoint them. I find probable cause for the new arrest. I'll stay the bond on the burglary at $3,500, modified counts 2 and 3 to $100 apiece. However, because you just were released in case 2022 CF 7116AO for resisting officer without violence, I'm revoking your release and holding you at no bond. Jeffrey Dorvell is next.
Your Honor, Dorval is medical.
All right, I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. Probable cause has been found. I can go ahead and set his bond right now if there's no objection and you waive.
No objection, we'd waive, Your Honor.
Okay, based on his history, I'm setting his bond at $2,000 with the condition that he comply with all reporting requirements within 1 business day. Octavius DeBoe is next. Thank you. Sir, good morning. You're here for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. This is a felony case. Do you need a public defender, Mr. DuBois?
No.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. You do have a bond in this case of $1,000. Devontae Francis is next.
Your Honor, he's outside hospital.
Reset to within 24 hours of his medical return. He'll remain at no bond on the failures to appear. I'll appoint the services of the public defender. I find probable cause in 2022 CF 7543AO. Actually, do you want to waive since he's medical and he's no bond on any cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll just treat that as a waiver, not a reset. And I'll stay all the bonds in case ending in 7543.
And would you set a bond in the, I think it's a new,
They were failures to appear, and
Oh.
everything else had a bond.
it wasn't a new charge of the handcuff key?
Pardon me?
Never mind. I thought he was here on another case, 22 CF 7543.
Yes.
He is, and I stayed those bonds.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Your name, please?
Daniel Gilroy.
Mr. Dilroy, you're here for a charge of fleeing and attempting to elude a police officer, stalking, and resisting officer without violence. State, have you had any victim contact, or do you know of any other history?
One moment, Your Honor.
You speaking to me, Your Honor?
No, I'm speaking to the state. While the state is researching that, Mr. Gilroy, do you need a public defender? Do you plan to hire your own attorney, or do you want to represent yourself?
I'd like to go pro se for today, sir. Ma'am?
All right, and do you have any legal training?
No.
Do you know what kind of bond amounts, if any, you're entitled to today? Do you know what a bond is?
Yes, I know what a bond is.
Do you know what kind of bond amounts you can face based on these charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure you don't want to speak with a public defender? It's up to you. You don't have to have an attorney if you don't want one, but I just want to make sure you understand what to do in case you can't meet those release conditions.
Release conditions. I can proceed pro se.
All right.
Your Honor.
All right, State, do you want to be heard on all of these bonds?
No, Your Honor, and with regard to victim contact, no, we have not made any victim contact at this time.
Corrections, you're showing no history?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to do some bond modifications to go along with it, admin order. On the fleeing and attempting to elude, I'm going to increase that bond to $3,500. On the stalking charge, I'll set bond at $1,000, and the resisting officer without violence modified to $100. Your total bond is $4,600. You're to have no contact with the victim, no return to the scene of the crime. You're not to go where she lives, works, or is known to frequent. You're not to go within 500 feet of her. And contact means no in-person contact, following her, using any electronic devices to communicate with her, or any third-party contact. Thank you, Mr. Gilroy. That concludes your hearing. What's your name?
Carlos Gonzalez, ma'am.
Mr. Gonzalez Rivera, you are arrested on a charge of possession of Xanax, but you're also out on bond on another case, so I can revoke that release. Do you need a public defender, a lawyer?
I need a public defender, Your Honor, Your Honor, and also the Xanax and the.
You may not want to say anything else. Hold on just a moment. I'll
a
appoint a
prescription.
public defender. Defense counsel, do you want to speak with him?
I have prescription.
State, any objection to me taking no action on the out on bond? And just staying the bond on the new charge?
No objection, Your Honor.
Defense, I'll go ahead and take no action on the out on bond, and on the Xanax, I'll stay the bond at 1,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
After that, I have Howard Jones.
He's present.
Mr. Jones, good afternoon. You were arrested for a new charge of possession of cocaine. And do you need and drug paraphernalia. Do you need a lawyer to help you with your charges?
PD?
Yes, a PD.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. I find probable cause for possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'll stay the bond on count 1. On count 2, I'll set bond at $100. Mr. Jones, you're also out on bond for charges of possession of methamphetamine, possession of heroin, and trespass on property after warning. One of the conditions is that you not commit any new law offenses. So I'm going to revoke your release, but I will give you new bond. On the possession of methamphetamine, your new bond is $2,000, possession of heroin, $200, and the trespass, $200. Thank you.
I'll have my bond back.
Your attorney will explain that to you. Sir, what's your name?
Troy Luma.
Mr., how long have you lived in Orlando? This is that information could be helpful in me setting a bond.
Like 4 months.
Okay. You were arrested for possession of MDMA and battery. Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal case?
Yes, please.
I'll go ahead and appoint them to represent you. On count 1, I'll stay the bond for possession of MDA. On count 2, I'll modify that bond to $100. Mr. Luma, you're not to possess any weapons. If you have any, they need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release from jail. And you're to have no contact with the victim in this matter. And that concludes your first appearance.
I have a moment to confer, Your Honor.
So straight.
it.
Are you Miss Maldonado? Miss Maldonado, come up to the podium, please. Would you like a lawyer from the Public Defender's Office to help you with your criminal charges? You'll need to answer loud enough so I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint them. In case 2022 CF 7594AO, you're here for a charge of trafficking in cocaine greater than 400 grams with a firearm. That you're being held at no bond. State, do you want her to continue to be held at no bond based?
No, Your Honor, you can set a bond.
Okay, what kind of bond are you suggesting?
I believe it starts at least at 50,000, Your Honor, but with the firearm as well, I think it doubles to 100,000.
Agree. And then you're here for a charge of possession. So on that count, I'm setting your bond at $100,000. Count two, possession of a weapon. Count two, possession of cocaine with a weapon. I'll modify that bond. I'll stay that bond at $15,000. On count three, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, I'll reduce that bond to $150,000. And count four, possession of firearm and commission of a felony, I'll reduce that bond to $150,000. And on the no valid driver's license charge, I'll reduce that bond to $100. Ms. Maldonado, I am ordering that you not possess any weapons. That includes firearms and ammunition. If you do have any, you must surrender them to law enforcement upon your release from jail. No time. Anything else, defense counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Pedro Mateo is next.
Your Honor, he's mental health.
I'll appoint the services of the public defender to represent him.
We'll waive the appearance, Your Honor.
Probable cause has been found based on his history. I'm going to set bond at $2,500 with reporting requirements to be satisfied within 1 business day. Sir, what's your name?
Gregory Perkins.
Mr. Perkins, you're here in case 2022 CF 1653AO. You missed your court date for drug charges and drug paraphernalia charges. You'll remain at no bond, and your public defender will continue to assist you. The next person I'm addressing is Kevin Pierre. Defense counsel, is Attorney Grosinger and Tate's with your office?
I don't recognize those names. Let me double check, Your Honor.
Mr. Pierre, you were arrested for a new charge of driving with license suspended or revoked as a habitual traffic offender. Do you want a public defender to help you with your new case?
Yes.
You said no?
Say yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint them. I find probable cause. I'm staying that bond at $2,500. Give me a moment. The public defender is looking at something. Or are they regional conflict? I'm not sure.
It looks like we represent him in the 5362 case, but I don't see the case for the 2528.
So, sir, you're also already out on bond for felony charges for driving with license suspended, revoked in case 22 CF 5362. At this time, I'm revoking that bond and holding you at no bond. And in case number 2022 CF 2528, you're already out on bond for carrying a concealed firearm, driving with license suspended or revoked as a habitual traffic offender, possession of cannabis, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I'm also revoking your bond and holding you at no bond. Thank you, sir. What's your name, sir?
Julian Quinones?
Mr. Quinones, do you already have a lawyer that's helping you with your possession of cocaine case?
No.
Okay. Do you need a public defender to help you with your charges? I'll go ahead and appoint them. I find probable cause in 2022 CF 7581. I'll stay the bond for possession of cocaine at $1,000. Sir, you had a court date, and you already missed that court date for another offense back on November 27th of 21 for possession of cocaine. You're being held at no bond on that charge. Thank you, Mr. Quinones.
Rembert bonded, Rico bonded,
Thank you. Dwayne Rivera, good morning. Good afternoon, rather. Are you Mr. Rivera?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Rivera, you were arrested in case number 2022, SIA 7585, for a charge of possession of Xanax. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. Corrections, will he qualify for pretrial release?
He did not initially, Your Honor, but you can do bond or PTR.
I'm going to stay your bond at $1,000 or pretrial release. You choose. Thank you. Jesse Rogers is next. Mr. Rogers, you're here for felony charges. You missed your court date for possession of cocaine. You're now being held at no bond.
All right.
Thank you.
PD appointed, Your Honor?
Do you already have an attorney, Mr. Rogers?
I'm not sure.
Corrections, excuse me, Madam Clerk says he does have a PD.
It's when's my next court date?
You don't have one because you missed your court date, so you'll get one when you bond, you'll get one when they set it. Thank you. Give me a moment, everybody. Michael Rouse is next.
Your Honor, he is behavior. Michael Reynolds. What's the booking number?
Rouse, Mike,
22015042. Mr., what?
Is it behavior?
yes, he's behavior.
All right, does he already have a PD? Yes. The PD's office will stay in his case and I'll stay the bonds.
We'll waive the appearance too, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thomas Lewinsky, possession of Xanax. Sir, where do you live? Well, first of all, do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
I live at 255 Moselle Avenue,
How long have you lived there?
about 7 years.
Do you get mail there?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a working phone number?
Do I work there? No.
No, do you have a working phone number that
Yes,
you've
I do.
used? Do you want a lawyer to help you with your case, a public defender?
I don't think so because all my medication is prescribed to me. So just because the officer didn't see it, and
All
I
right, you may
told
not,
him that
hold
it
on.
was
I'm
in the
gonna
glove box.
interrupt you, Mr. Slawinski. I'm gonna put you on straight pretrial release. And all of your statements are being recorded and can be used against you, so keep that in mind, but I'm gonna pretrial release you. You do have to appear for your next court date.
Any
Okay.
conditions, Your Honor?
No. Next case is 2022 CF 7588AO. Defendant's name is David Taylor. No, didn't want one. Are you Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor, do you need a public defender to help you with your felony charges and your misdemeanor charges?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender. Sir, I find probable cause for robbery with a firearm, armed burglary, aggravated assault with a weapon, as well as petty theft. State, do you want to be heard on count 1 and count 2 bond?
With regard to definitely count 1, Your Honor, that is a first-degree felony punishable by life. I would ask defendant be held no bond.
And so is an armed burglary.
I ask defendant be held no bond, Your Honor.
What says defense?
I would ask the court to set bond in this case, but I have no argument as to the.
Okay, what's your basis for him being entitled to a bond, if any? I appreciate your candor, otherwise.
No basis, just to allow our client to bond out. He's entitled to an Arthur hearing, though, with his trial judge.
On count one, I'll stay the bond at no bond. On count two, I'm going to set bond at $50,000. On the aggravated 50,000. On the aggravated assault with a weapon, I'll stay that bond, as well as on the petty theft. Those two are stayed. So your no bond plus monetary bond, you're to have no contact with the victim or any witnesses. And you're not to return to the scene of the crime.
No weapons or firearms, Your Honor?
He already has felony convictions, so that's one of his conditions of release, his conditions of life anyway. So. Javari Walker is next. Are you Mr. Walker?
How you doing?
I'm well, Mr. Walker. How are you?
Good.
You're here for case number 2021 CF 3562AO. You missed your court date for racketeering charges and conspiracy to engage in a pattern of racketeering activity. Your court date was on June 17th. You're now being held at no bond status. Who's your attorney on that case?
Lyle.
What?
Lyle.
Lyle Mason?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just let him know that you're arrested. I'm gonna take no action on the out on bond. Gabriel Williams is next. Thank you. Your case is done. Gabriel Williams is next. Are you Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. On June 1st, it's alleged that you failed to report as a sex offender. Probable cause has been found. You are entitled to a bond. Your bond is $2,500, and you're to comply with all sex offender reporting requirements. Do you have any questions, Mr. Williams? All right, thank you. The next person is Nicholas Williams Richburg. I'm just going to go through each case number. Mr. Richburg, if you don't have a public defender, would you like a public defender to help you with any of your cases?
Yes.
Case 2022 CF 840. You're here for a charge of burglary. You're to have no contact with the victim, and your bond is $5,000. In case number 2020 CF 7238, you missed your court date on March 9th of 21. For a charge of burglary, you'll remain at no bond. In case 2020 CF 7964AO, you missed your court date on November 15th of 2021, and you'll remain at no bond for burglary, criminal mischief, and petty theft charges. In case 2020 CF 7965, you missed your court date on November 15th of 21. For burglary and criminal mischief, you'll remain at no bond. In case 2020 CF 7669, 7996AO, you missed your court date on November 15th, so you're being held at no bond on burglary charges. In case 2020 CF 9312AO, you missed your court date on November 15th for burglary, petty theft, and criminal mischief charges. You'll remain at no bond. In case 2020 CF 12894, you missed your court date for burglary and criminal mischief charges. You'll remain at no bond. In 2020 CF 8561, you'll remain at no bond for burglary charges and missing your court date. And again, on November 15th, you missed your court date in case 2020 CF 13457 for burglary and criminal mischief, and you'll remain at no bond. Speak with your attorney after court or when they conference with you. Thank you. Go ahead, Liz. Sir, what's your name?
James Wilson.
Give me a moment. I don't have his paperwork. Maybe I handed it to you already. I don't have his arrest report. Wilson, James, 2022 CF 7578AO. Mr. Wilson, do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them to help you with your case. Your total bond is 1,000 plus 1,000 for a total of $2,000. Can you, on count two, I'll modify that bond to $150. I'll stay the bond on count one, so your total bond is now $1,150. Do you need a public defender to help you with your charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll appoint them, thank you. Let me go ahead and grab an interpreter online for Michael DeLeon.
Hello, Cisco Unity Connection Messaging System. From a touch-tone telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions,
Okay, we'll stand by on Mr. DeLeon, wait for an interpreter. I want to recall, I'll take a recess, I'll take the bench at 1:10, well, 1:05, to see if any private attorneys show up, and at that time, I'll readdress DeLeon. Thank you. Go off record.
I invest hours of my time every single day to make these videos possible. Unfortunately, the engagement on my videos has been very low recently. Most of the bond court viewers do not hit the like button on my videos. Please, 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 hit the like button on my videos. The YouTube algorithms heavily favor videos with more likes. If you do not like my videos, then please tell me why in the comments and I can make changes to improve the channel. Thank you to all of you that do hit the like button. I am sorry that you have to hear this repetitive message, but without this message, less than 10% of viewers will like my videos.
Everybody, give me just a moment to set up. Okay, it looks like we're going to start off with Joseph Perez, and then at some point I'd like to work in Mr. Miller's case. I know the defendant isn't being brought over because of medical.
Yes, Your Honor. Perez, to begin with, he is medical.
Okay, Perez, case number 2021 MM8626AO. There's two VOPs, underlying offenses of battery. We reset these already. I'll appoint the services of the public defender, and he'll remain at no bond. Defense counsel, are you waiving?
Yes, Your Honor.
Entering denials at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. After that, we have Diana, Jackson, Andrew, Sebastian, Diana. Are you Mr. Diana?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Diana, good morning. Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint a public defender in this felony case. You were arrested for battery by strangulation. Probable cause has been found. I'll go ahead and, based on these facts, I'm going to set your bond at $1,000. You're to have no contact with the victim of this case. You must maintain a separate residence from the victim, and you're not allowed to own any weapons. If you have any, they do need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release from jail. Thank you, Mr. Diana.
Thank you.
After that, I have Betty Diane McCarthy Tillman. Stand by. Good morning. Your name, please?
Good morning, Betty Diane McCarty Tillman.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes, ma'am, please.
I'll go ahead and appoint the services of the public defender to help you with your case.
Thank you.
You were arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon as well as battery. I do find probable cause for those offenses. At this time, I'm going to set monetary bond. On count one, I'm setting bond in the amount of $2,000. On count two, I'm setting bond in the amount of $200. You're to have no contact with victim Dobson. You must maintain a separate residence. Additionally, you're not allowed to have any weapons. If you do have any weapons, they need to be surrendered to the police department. I'll allow you to have a one-time return to your Oak Street address, but you must be accompanied by a police officer.
Okay.
Give me just one moment. I see that you're also out on bond on a felony case.
Yes.
4 hours to return.
It was a U-Haul case.
You may not want to say anything else. Your statements are being recorded. State, do you have a decision made in 22 CF 4697, April offense?
No, Your Honor. Defendant was arrested April 25th, and as of today's date, formal charges have not been filed.
Have you had victim contact? I'm just trying to figure out the direction of what we're doing.
One moment.
Defense, while state is looking that up, what's your position on the out on bond?
We would have you take no action, Your Honor, as the state hasn't filed any official charges yet. And if you are inclined to revoke, we would have you revoke and double.
Any response, state?
No objection to the revoke and double, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and revoke her release in the felony case ending in 4697, and I'm going to double her bond to increase it to $2,000. The next person I'm addressing is Marie Ann Ali. Is Pedro Fernandez present? No response. All right. Miss Ali, good morning. I'm not sure if you qualify for a public defender. I'll ask you some questions. You get paid every 2 weeks, is that correct? What's your take-home pay after taxes and withholdings?
Take-home pay, like 1,100 and something.
Do you support anybody? Do you support Mr. Fernandez or anybody else?
That's because he lives in my house. He's not supposed to be there, but I have him there anyway.
All right, you do qualify for the services of the public defender based on your testimony. I'll appoint them to help you with your case if you'd like. Do you want them to help you?
Yes.
All right. State any objection to PTR or monetary bond?
No objection.
All right, I'm going to put you on straight pretrial release, so you do have to check in and pay the pretrial release fee. You're to have no contact with the victim of this case, Mr. Fernandez. He can stay in the residence. You're not allowed to go back there. I'll allow a one-time return as long as you're accompanied by a police officer, and you're not to have any weapons. Weapons to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release.
Wow.
Ma'am, what's your name?
Nicole Babcock.
Ms. Babcock, you're here, do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and appoint them to represent you. Are you Mr. Alexander Babcock?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. I'll have you sworn in. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give today is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I believe the face sheet says conspiracy to commit battery. I don't know if you have an arrest
Yeah.
affidavit that indicates just a
So
bad DV.
I was going to talk to the state and defense about that. The officer typed in battery, touching or striking, and used sub 11 opposed to sub 10 for battery domestic violence. What says the state?
I apologize. On my paperwork, Your Honor, it does say touch or strike. I do not see the conspiracy.
Do you want me to seek to find probable cause for a battery under subsection 10?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
What says defense? Do you waive any defect?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. For the record, I find probable cause as to Florida statute 784.03 sub 10. battery, domestic violence. Mr. Babcock, we just needed to talk about some technical issues with this case. Do you live with Ms. Babcock?
Yes.
Is she your spouse?
Yes.
Do you want her to return home?
Yes.
Do you have any fear for her, for your safety or the safety of your children?
No.
And it looks like substances may have been involved with this. Is that correct?
That's my impression, yes.
All right, State, do you have any questions for Mr. Babcock?
No questions, Your Honor.
Defense, do you have any questions for Mr. Babcock?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Babcock, I'm going to release you on pretrial release, so you do have reporting obligations, but you don't have to post a monetary bond. You're to have no hostile contact with your husband. Hold on a second, defense counsel, let me talk to her. Sorry, what? Counsel? I don't want her to disobey a court order unintentionally, so if you could just stand down. You're to have no hostile contact with your husband. You're not allowed to have any weapons. If you do, they need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release. Based on the facts alleged, I'm also ordering that you not consume any alcohol or use any illegal substances. Do you have any questions, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
I'll give you a moment to confer with your attorney. Thank you. What's Mr. Miller? Who's your client?
O'Donnell, Nicholas O'Donnell, Your Honor.
I'll pull that.
Okay.
It's a bond hearing. What time is it set for, morning or afternoon? It's set for the afternoon? Let's go ahead and do a move up. Can we? No, oh, but do you have the paperwork for me? Oh, all right. Victoria Dixon? After Ms. Dixon, I'm going to take Ms. Miller's case corrections, and that defendant was not brought over. Victoria Dixon, good morning, ma'am. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes.
I'll appoint the public defender services. I find probable cause for the charge of battery domestic violence. I'm going to order that you have no contact with Andre West. You must maintain a separate residence. If you're staying at some kind of shelter, you need to be at a different shelter from him, and you're not allowed to have any weapons. If you do, they need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release. Ms. Dixon, do you have any questions? I'll give you a monetary bond of $150.
No.
Thank you.
I do have one. On this, the non-release thing, it says that after, the no contact is after pretrial.
No contact is effective right now.
But can I keep it?
What do you mean?
Like indefinitely?
I'm not giving you an injunction. This is a rule that you are to have no contact.
Okay.
If you violate that rule.
No, I don't want to violate it. That's why I'm asking, can I have it permanently?
No, I can't do that. This is while the case is going on.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, I'll take your case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, his client is medical.
Okay, thank you. Are you, let me get some information. Appearance in case 2022 CT 676AW and 2022 CT 677AW.
Ralph Molina III for the state.
Mark Miller on behalf of Nicholas O'Donnell.
So I see that Mr. O'Donnell has a DUI and another CT case, which is for refusal to submit to blood alcohol testing. Defense counsel, state the grounds for your motion.
Your Honor, the defense would just argue that Mr. O'Donnell is not a flight risk. He has strong ties to the community. We spoke to his family. We are going to work on trying to get him into potentially some kind of a treatment facility. He's not a violent offender. He has, I know the state is going to argue that it's a public safety concern because of the driving under the influence. However, as I stated, we're in the process of trying to work out to get him into a treatment facility, working closely with his sister, who is a point of contact with our office. We would just request that the court, we will, whatever the court wants, we're not going to give a monetary amount. However, whatever the court would be inclined, just a reasonable bond. And if there are any additional sanctions or conditions that the court would be inclined to, if they are wavering on issuing a bond. There are numerous other things such as scram or, compulsory testing, things of that nature. Mr. O'Donnell would comply with all obligations and conditions that imposed by the court put into, as the conditions of his bond.
State, based on the motion, it looks like you object because he committed this, he bonded on the two cases that I put on record and that we're addressing now on the 19th of April, and then committed a new one, a new DUI in 2022 CT 3225AO rather, which is not a case I'm addressing, but is that the grounds for your objection?
It is, Your Honor, and then I would just supplement the fact that he got the same charge 2 months later with the fact that he had a DUI in 2017 at a Brevard, and then also an open container on his driving record as well in 2017. So the state does have significant public safety concerns. It's a repeat of the same offense.
So defense, in raising this motion, do you know where he would, you mentioned working on inpatient treatment. Do you have a place where you know he has a bed?
No, Your Honor, that's what we're trying, so we were retained on these two cases. The family has now retained us for all of his cases. So as part of dealing with the family, because this just happened earlier in the week when they retained us for all the cases, we have been discussing with the family. This is just an option. We're trying to get him the bond to get out, and so we can start, actively looking. But that is something that we are looking into. So no, as of right now, we do not have a bed for him anywhere. But that is an option because I think it would be a good course of action in this case.
I'm just looking at my calendar. Okay, I believe your office has cases with me on Thursday, July 7th. So I'm going to give him conditions, and if he bonds, I need to see you back on July 7th at 10 a.m. For a pretrial release hearing. Status. On each of these cases, I'm going to give him a bond amount. I'm going to give him a bond of $10,000 on the DUI. That's case ending in 676. And $2,000 on the refusal. His total bond is $12,000. Both of these have conditions. He needs to have a scram. He's not to possess, use, or consume any alcohol or use any illegal substances.
Your Honor, does the scram have to be put on him before he's released or within a certain time after he's released?
I want the scram on him. You can arrange for that before he's released?
I mean, are you doing it through the jail?
I'd like to do it through the jail.
Okay.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do scram through the jail to test him. Any positive alerts will violate his conditions. And prior to our next court date, I need to know where, based on your representation, I need to know where he's going for inpatient or outpatient treatment.
Yes, Your Honor.
For alcohol or any substance or any other mental illnesses. Failure to comply and have written proof of that may violate his pretrial release.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. That's all I have for the court. Will you be excused?
Defense counsel, do you have anything? I mean, state?
No, Your Honor, actually, may I be excused as well?
Yes. Are there any blank orders in that stack that you can write out?
Doesn't look like it, Your Honor.
Okay,
But I can have one typed up and sent over if you'd like.
can you dictate it to somebody at your office and have them send it over since it's
Just with the amounts and the conditions, is that all you'd like included with it?
Yes.
All right, yes, Your Honor, I'll make sure it
And
gets sent
send
over
it to
today.
Caitlin. And any, State, do you have any objection to it getting sent directly to me to avoid?
Not at all, Your Honor.
Mr. Miller, can you approach?
Yes, Your Honor.
And copy Mr. Milano. Mr. Milano. Good, Milano. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too, Your Honor. Nice to see you.
Okay, back on to the regular IA docket. Michael Martin. Mr. Martin, you were arrested for a charge of battery domestic violence, 2022 MM 4364. I'm not sure if you qualify for a public defender, but I can have one stand by as a friend of the court if you don't. How often are you paid?
Every 2 weeks.
And what's your take-home pay after taxes and withholdings?
I don't know, like 1,500.
Do you support anybody in your family?
Yeah. My wife and my children.
How many people do you support?
1, 2, 3, 4 count myself.
I'm sorry, 4?
4 count myself.
Okay, so
That's
sounds like 3. You do qualify for the services of the public defender based on your testimony. I'll go ahead and appoint them to represent you in this case. Where would you live if you did not live with the victim?
I have very close friends and family. A brother, I call him my brother. He lives in Poinciana.
All right, I'm going to put you on straight pretrial release. You're not to live with the victim. You cannot contact her even for the purposes of the children. I will allow a one-time return to collect some personal belongings, but you must be accompanied by a police officer. Additionally, you're not allowed to have any weapons. You need to surrender those when you have, within 4 hours of your release from jail. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, your attorney can further assist you. After that, I have David Toffer. But while you're still standing there, Mr. Martin, you need to provide the address of where you're living with your friend in Osceola County. David Toffer?
Your Honor, may I approach the clerk for a change of address form?
Yes.
That's the case.
Thank you, counsel. All right, the next case that we're addressing is David Toffer, 22 MM 4361AO.
You don't know the address off the top of your head.
Are you Miss Mansella? Please raise your right hand. I'll have you sworn in. Do you mind swearing her in, please?
You swear or affirm that the testimony about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name for the record.
Gabrielle Mansella.
All right, Mr. Toffer, I'm not sure if you qualify for the services of the public defender. Do you support your wife and your child? With 2 dependents, does he qualify? Yeah. You qualify for the services of the public defender based on what you've told me. I'll appoint them to represent you. Sir, you were arrested for a charge of battery domestic violence. I'm going to take a few minutes to speak with the victim about this case. Ma'am, is this your husband?
Yes.
And were you living together at the time of the alleged offense?
Yes.
Are you in fear of him?
No.
Do you feel safe with him returning home?
Yes.
Do you want him to return home?
Yes.
State and defense, any questions for the witness?
Any questions from the state?
No questions, Your Honor.
And tell us your full name, ma'am.
Gabrielle Mansella.
Okay, thank you. Were drugs or alcohol a factor in any of this?
No.
All right, sir, I'm going to put you on straight pretrial release. You need to follow the recommendations and rules and appear for all future court dates. You're to have no hostile contact with your wife. You're not allowed to possess any weapons. If you do have any weapons, they do need to be surrendered to the police department within 4 hours of your release. Ma'am, do you have any questions about his release conditions?
No.
Sir, do you have any questions? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. You do have an attorney who will assist you. After that, I have Christina Trillo. Ma'am, do you need a public defender to help you with your criminal charges?
Yes,
I'll appoint the services of the public defender. Do you live with Ezekiel Gonzalez Ruiz?
I do, but I have a new location.
You have what?
A new location I'll be going to.
State any objection to pretrial release, she qualifies.
No objection.
All right, since you have no criminal history except the petty theft that was over a decade ago, I'm placing you on pretrial release. Sir, are you Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand and I'll have you sworn in. You solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give today is the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And how do you know Ms. Trujillo?
We've known each other for about a year, and we've been dating for about a month.
And you live together?
Yes.
Do you want her to return home?
Yes.
Do you feel safe with her returning home?
Yes.
Were drugs or alcohol a factor?
No.
State any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to put you on straight pretrial release. You're to have no hostile contact with him. You can't do anything to harm, threaten, scare, or intimidate him. Additionally, you're not allowed to have any weapons. If you do, they need to be surrendered within 4 hours of your release from jail.
Welcome to an Econo meeting. You are entering the meeting now.
Cordell Jones, are you Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones, good morning. You're here for a warrant out of Osceola County, Florida, where you're being held at no bond for charges of armed burglary of a dwelling with a firearm, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Do you need a public defender to represent you while you're here in the Orange County Jail?
I don't believe so. I had I had to write a letter to my other judge because I had missed my court date, and he basically dropped my warrant, and my bail bondman knew that. So I don't know why I have a warrant.
Well, the warrant has been confirmed, so I'm going to go with it. So are you sure you don't want a public defender to make sure that's all been done?
Yes, I'll take one.
Okay, I'll appoint a public defender for services while you're here in the Orange County Jail. And they'll communicate with your public defender in Osceola. Do you have a private attorney?
I had court today, actually, July 1st. I had it at 9:30 in Osceola County.
Okay.
And
Well, I'm going to go ahead and state the conditions, communicate with your attorney. Do I have attorney Jonathan Mills?
Morning, Judge. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to have you stand by until we call Mr. Dang. I just can't see. There you are. All right, I'll let you know when we call it.
Thank you.
Daniel McQuay, 2009 CF 63207. Sir, you're here for a warrant for a violation of probation with the underlying charge of grand theft out of Brevard County, Florida, so you remain at no bond. Do you need a public defender to help you while you're in the Orange County Jail? You'll be transported to Brevard.
How long do they have to transport me?
I can't give you any legal advice on that, sir. Do you need a public defender to?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, I'll appoint one for purposes of while you're in jail. Shane Rivers is next. Are you Mr. Rivers?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Rivers. You have a warrant out of Seminole County, Florida for driving with license suspended and attached tag not assigned. Each of those carries a bond of $263. So your total bond is $526. Is that a bond that you can afford?
Ma'am, say that again?
Your total bond is $526 or $263 per count. Can you afford that bond?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rivers.
I can bond out today.
As soon as somebody bonds you out, you can bond on that case. Christopher Todd is next.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Todd. You're here for a warrant out of, you're here. Out of Volusia County, Florida. You're being held at no bond as to all counts. You were on probation for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and killing or maiming an animal. So you remain at no bond.
May I speak, Your Honor?
You may speak, but all of your statements are being recorded and can be used against you, even in another county. So you may not want to say anything.
All right.
All right, thank you. Tony Whitaker's, what? I'll point the PD on that while he's in custody. Tony Whitaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Whitaker, good morning. You are here for a warrant out of Lake County, Florida. You do have bonds for conspiracy to commit trafficking in cocaine greater than 28 grams. Your bond is $200,000. For unlawful use of a two-way communication device, your bond is $5,000. And finally, for solicitation for sale or delivery of fentanyl, your bond is $3,000. Mr. Whitaker, do you need a public defender to help you while you're in the Orange County Jail?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Tom Dang is next. Are you Mr. Dang?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Mr. Dang, as you can see on this screen, I have Attorney Jonathan Mills. I'm on record on 2017 CF 1715. Defense Counsel, your appearance for the record.
Jonathan Mills on behalf of the defense, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Dang, you were arrested for a violation of probation. Defense, do you want me to waive reading on the underlying offense?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. And do you want me to waive reading on the allegations for the violation?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Shall I enter denials?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you want to be heard on any conditions or this case? What else do you need to add?
Judge, under 948.06 subsection 4, I think the court has authority to grant bond on this type of offense, and we'd ask the court to consider that based on the nature of the violation, the fact that he's in treatment, that's how this violation was reported, and his lack of criminal history.
What says the state?
State would ask that defendant be held at no bond, and the issue be addressed at the division, Your Honor.
Mr. Mills and Mr. Dang, your attorney made an effort to argue for bond, but I agree with the state. I'm going to stay the conditions at no bond, Mr. Mills. And once you do get a bond or you are released from jail, he does have 1 business day to comply with reporting requirements. Thank you,
Yes, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Dang. Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Thank you, Judge. Have a nice weekend.
You too. Can we bring Mr. Whitaker back? Thank you. Are you Mr. Gardner?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gardner, you're here in case 2021 CF 8385AO. You're here for a violation of probation here in Orange County. Do you need a public defender to help you?
You are the only participant.
Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
I had a private attorney, so.
Can we have him brought back up for later on today, or at least session 2? So I don't see that an attorney is on this case. Do you want an attorney for purposes of the violation of probation? Do you plan to hire your own attorney, or do you want to represent yourself?
Was there a bond?
No, you're being held at actually, there is a bond. It's $1,500.
Okay, I already had a private attorney, so I didn't.
So your bond in this case is $1,500. You were on probation, and it's alleged that you committed a new law violation of battery on June 19th of 2020. I'll enter denial. Make sure you hire an attorney for your next court date if you choose to. Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Whitaker, I left something out on your case. You do have some conditions. In addition to your monetary bond, you're to have no contact with the co-defendants. Within 24 hours of your release, you're to have a GPS ankle monitor supervised by the Department of Corrections. And you're to surrender your passport to the clerk of court within 48 hours or 2 days of your release. You're not to obtain a passport during the course of your case. And proof of your GPS needs to be sent to the state attorney's office in Lake County as well as the clerk of court. Just wanted to add those on. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker.
Your Honor, Hargis is a refusal.
I'll appoint the services of the public defender, maintain denials, and waive his appearance. Defense, any objection to that?
No objections, Your Honor.
Thank you. Jean Joseph. Mr. Joseph, you're here for a violation of probation for the underlying offense of battery by strangulation. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll appoint a public defender. Defense, do you want me to waive reading?
That's fine, Your Honor, yes.
All right, enter denials. Sir, you do have a bond of $2,500 in your violation of probation. Traylon Lee is next.
Your Honor, he's a refusal.
In case 2021 CF 15106AO, I'll appoint a public defender. Based on his refusal, we'll waive his appearance. He does have a bond of no bond. Brandon Raleigh is next.
Your Honor, I think he has 3 cases.
Oh,
And I did have a probable cause argument, Your Honor, as well.
oh, I'm sorry, I missed the other 2. Hold on just a moment. So back on Traylon Lee, he has 22 MM 4376 and 22 CF 7582, fleeing and attempting to elude, grand theft, possession of a weapon and commission of a felony, and false info to a law enforcement, plus the misdemeanor charge. What says the defense?
Your Honor, reading the affidavit, the facts in the affidavit, I didn't find the 2 separate instances of the obstruction charge. There was one affidavit that was just obstruction, and then another affidavit that was the 4 charges: fleeing, grand theft, possession of a weapon, and another obstruction, false info. I do find, or I would argue PC for the, I suppose, the one included in the felony case, but I wouldn't have the court find PC on the misdemeanor charge.
So you're only making that argument as to 22 CF 7582 count 4?
No, Your Honor, the misdemeanor, the 22MM 4376, I would have you find no PC there.
Give me just a moment. And then state, I'll hear from you. I just want to refresh my memory.
Actually, I must correct myself, Your Honor. The misdemeanor affidavit, there is PC there, I would argue, but in the felony affidavit, there is not PC. It would be the charge in the CF case. I'm sorry.
What says the state as to the felony charge count 4 and PC?
Your Honor, about a third of the way down, there is a sentence that says that the defendant wiped down the outside of the vehicle, specifically the door handles. And then later in the same affidavit, he states that he is aware that the police were after him, that they were trying to pull him over, and that it was a stolen vehicle. I would say that wiping down the, essentially to remove his prints would be a form of obstruction, Your Honor.
May I rebut, Your Honor?
Give me a moment. But the statute reads, what was the false information though, State?
In the felony, Your Honor, I did not see that information there.
All right, he is entitled to a monetary bond on count 1, the fleeing and attempting to elude. Defense, do you want to be heard on that?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe a $7,500 bond is reasonable.
What says the state?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Lee, you're here for, Mr. Lee is not here, he's refused, but on the fleeing and attempting to elude, I find probable cause as far as to counts 1, 2, and 3. On count 1, I'll set a bond of $7,500. State count 2 and 3 bond. I find no PC and give defense, state rather, 24 hours to perfect as to count 4. And I do find PC in 2022 MM 4376. I'll modify that bond to subsidiary bond at $100.
Your Honor, what were the bond amounts for counts 2 and 3?
I stayed them.
And we would waive his appearance today as well.
Pardon?
We're waiving his appearance today as well.
Okay,
As
thank
he
you.
refused.
No, they're waiving. Yes, I have to, for that, I have to have the PC hearing. That's tomorrow. No, I'm gonna stay the bond. They have until tomorrow to fix it and modify it to ROR. Brandon Rowley. Sir, you're here for a violation of probation. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll appoint the services of the public defender. Your probation was for carrying a concealed weapon. Your bond is $8,000, and it's alleged that you committed a new law offense in Hillsborough County on May 21st. After that is Carlos Roberts. Are you Mr. Roberts?
Yes, yes.
You were placed on probation for battery, and it's alleged that you did not commit a batterers intervention program. You're being held at no bond. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case? You'll need to answer out loud.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go ahead and appoint them. Thank you. Raymond Salcido. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Salcido. You're here for 2 different cases for violations of probation. It's alleged that while you were on probation, you were in possession of drugs or narcotics that were not prescribed by a physician. So you're being held at no bond. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
I have a lawyer.
You have your own lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he know that you're in jail?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your case is over. Sean Stewart is next. Are you Mr. Stewart?
Yes, ma'am.
You're here in case number 2020 CF 2697 for failure to report as a sexual offender as the underlying charge. It's alleged that you did not provide the proper residence or address to your probation officer, that you were arrested on September 13th of 2020, and Do you need a public defender to help you with your case?
Well, I'm not quite sure I understand the case. I just did 2 years for the case, so I'm not sure what's going on.
So you're on probation is what I'm showing. Do you need a public defender to help you and explain?
Yes, because
I'll go ahead and appoint them to help you because you're at no bond status. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Your attorney will give you more information about the case.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
Dalby Susan refused.
All right, in 2022 CT 418AO, I'll appoint the services of the public defender. She'll remain at no bond, and based on the refusal, will waive her appearance and enter denials.
Yeah, she also had the resisting charge.
And the resisting, she has the bond. I find probable cause. I'll stay that bond at $500. Wayne Elliston. Mr. Elliston, you're here for a violation of probation. You were placed on probation. You were placed on probation back on February 14th for petty theft, and you did not report to probation as prescribed, so you're being held at $10,000 bond. Do you need a public defender to help you with your case? I'll go ahead and appoint them. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to roll the 33-day motions. On record on 2022 CF 6131AO, what says state?
Samantha Lynn Fox, granted. Notice of non-filing.
2022 CF 6123AO Olson, first name Raymond.
Denied. Information was filed.
Jimmy Rodriguez, 2022 CF 6156AO.
Granted. Notice of non-filing.
Anthony Joseph Casale, 22 CF 6131.
Granted. Notice of non-filing.
I'm sorry, that was 6130. I think I may have said 1. David Matthew Miller, 2021 CF 12334AO.
Denied. Information was filed.
Kedrick Rashad Barnes, 2022 CF 5823.
2-3 or 3-2.
I'm sorry, 32.
Granted. Notice of non-filing.
Billy Casson, 2022 CF 6208AO.
Granted. Notice of non-filing.
What date was it entered?
A moment. Yesterday, Your Honor.
Jude McCarthy Marsano, 2022 CF 6207.
Granted. Notice of non-filing.
William McKinley Kirk, 2022 CF 6159.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Kenneth Lavelle Chooks, 22 CF 6296.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Okay, I don't see, what date was that filed?
I believe June 30th, Your Honor.
Yesterday?
6:30?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Joseph Vance, 2022 CF 6281AO.
Granted, case was no billed.
And Vance, ending in 6282.
Denied, information was filed.
All right, thank you. Court will go off mic.
I invest hours of my time every single day to make these videos possible. Unfortunately, the engagement on my videos has been very low recently. Most of the bond court viewers do not hit the like button on my videos. Please, 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 hit the like button on my videos. The YouTube algorithms heavily favor videos with more likes. If you do not like my videos, then please tell me why in the comments and I can make changes to improve the channel. Thank you to all of you that do hit the like button. I am sorry that you have to hear this repetitive message, but without this message, less than 10% of viewers will like my videos.
Thank you to all of my patrons, members, and supporters. You are the reason that I am able to upload new bond courts daily. All members and patrons receive access to the bond court Discord server. Please send me a message on Patreon or leave a comment on YouTube if you are unable to join the server. Thank you all for your support.